Hey y'all, it's April from The Possible Diet, and I am making a creamy salmon lemon pasta today. This goes pretty fast, so you want to make sure that you have all your ingredients ready. What started this recipe was Trader Joe's started carrying wild sockeye salmon ends and pieces. And I love salmon. It's so good for you between the omegas and all the benefits of eating fish, but smoked salmon can be really expensive. So when I saw they had ends and pieces, I was like, yes. And I love wild sockeye salmon. I don't like Atlantic farmed salmon if I can avoid it. Anyway, this recipe is using spaghetti squash. So you start with a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm like a little generous with my olive oil. And then add a third cup of diced shallots. And you want to saute those. You want to have all your ingredients at the ready because this goes pretty fast. And I'm using peas, but if you want to use kind of like similarly sized chopped up broccoli, chopped up asparagus, I think it would be equally good in this. So you just want to saute the shallots. If you don't have shallots, you can use red onion. I find that shallots have kind of a milder flavor, so I like them better in this dish. But if all you have is red onion, you can use red onion. And then 2 cloves of garlic minced, or if you're lazy like me, you can use garlic paste. I kind of want to try, and honestly all I do, I say a teaspoon in the recipe, but I just squeeze out an amount that looks like a garlic clove. Like a smallish clove, roughly. You can try the roasted garlic version of this. I kind of want to try that. I've heard it's really good. And then once this is all kind of coated in olive oil and starting to smell really fragrant, you want to add a 1/4 cup of white wine. I always save wine. If I, for some strange reason, don't finish the whole bottle in just like a mason jar in the fridge, I find that it keeps for, like a month or two. So I try to make this whenever I have leftover wine. I don't know, I find that when you're watching your carbs, you can't drink as much wine, so probably why you have leftovers. And then once that reduces down, happens pretty quick if you're using like a wide pan like this, go ahead and add, I do like a cup of vegetables. Add more if you want. I know this is like a little bit over a cup. And these, if you're using frozen peas, they should be defrosted. If you're using fresh vegetables, they can be uncooked. That's fine. And you just want to cook them until whatever vegetables you're using brighten up a little. They don't need to be fully cooked for the next stage of this recipe. And then you're going to add 1/2 cup of heavy cream. This is not low fat, but I find that the cream really does this some favors. And then the juice of 1/2 lemon, which is like an extra large tablespoon. You can add more lemon if you like it. Oh, this smells so good. If I don't have olive oil, I'll just use butter. But for this one, I had this olive oil, so I wanted to use it and get that buttery flavor. Sometimes you have to use more butter when you use butter instead of oil, I've noticed. So just kind of let this sit a minute until it starts to bubble and thicken up. And once it's a little thicker, then you're going to stir in your capers and your salmon, and then turn the heat off, and then add in, I do 2 tablespoons of Icelandic or Greek yogurt, similar to how you add sour cream at the end to stroganoff. And then I toss it with spaghetti squash. So if you need tips on how to make perfect spaghetti squash, I have a video on that too. Okay, this is thickening up. I'm going to add about a cup of smoked salmon, and you want to chop that even smaller, and then a 1/4 cup of capers. Turn the heat off. It'll still continue heating all the way through. So really at this point, since the salmon's already cooked, you're just sort of letting it heat up, so that when you toss in the spaghetti squash, it's all the same temperature. And then 2 tablespoons of our delicious Greek yogurt, just to thicken it up at the end. Just kind of making a mess here. I find that the little extra bit of creaminess that the yogurt adds is just really nice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and toss this with between 3 and 4 cups of spaghetti squash, depending on how much spaghetti squash ratio you like in your dish. And then, one more thing, add 2 tablespoons of dill at this point, and then garnish with additional dill. So I'm going to get that ready, and then I'll show you the finished product. So here is our finished pasta. You've got that creaminess from the whipped cream and the Greek yogurt, the brininess from the capers, and then the fishiness from the salmon. And it's a totally healthy, low-carb meal. Enjoy!